Hi, Mark Mahoney, EDL 850, Module 8B, Internet Use Violations, Case Study Standard 5. Category 1, what do we know? We know that Roosevelt High is in an affluent area of the city. It is very prestigious for its gated-like community with professional parents working there. A very rich community, not only in their resources, but in their finances. Number 2, we know that Dr. Stephen Forbes has been the principal for 9 years. He was given the award as Principal of the Year, along with other awards. He is very well respected in his community, and his goal is to have the most prestigious school in the state. Number 3, we know that Mrs. Walker was a new hire. She's a first-year teacher. She has her undergrad, graduate, and 1 year of postgraduate degree. She's going to be teaching specialized science, and she's a little bit older than a typical first-year teacher. Number 4, we know that Mrs. Walker's teaching style is different than others. It is very rigorous. It is leading to high anxiety and high stress amongst her students. We also know, number 4, Dr. Forbes has offered her several different teaching techniques and ways to implement different teaching styles to reduce this anxiety and stress in her classroom. Number 5, Mrs. Walker has yet to take those suggestions or advice, and her kids are still struggling in her classroom, which is leading to complaints from the community, from parents and students about the poor instruction, and the workload is too much and too heavy. Also, what we know, number 1, Mrs. Walker received an email after a 3-day weekend during Veterans Day. The email was highly suggestive, using curse words, and was threatening to Miss Walker. Number 2, the email stated that who wants Miss Walker to disappear? Once she received that email, she contacted Dr. Forbes, where Dr. Forbes did a good job of calming her down, getting the information from her. Number 3, Dr. Forbes does believe it's a prank, but he's going to take it as serious as he can. He's collecting the information from Miss Walker. He's making hard copies of the email and the webpage, and if necessary, Dr. Forbes will contact the Technology Center to make sure that he is following protocol. Number 1, we also, what we need to know. Number 1, what is the background of the student that they believe is in question, Randy Franks? What is his background in technology? What is his background with Miss Walker? Number 2, we need to know the district policies on technology. We also need to know what else that email or web page had on it. The more details, the more information we can regard and get to the bottom of this. Number 3, where was the web page designed? Was it on school grounds? Was it with a school computer? Or was it at someone's home? Also, number 4, I'd like to know what strategies Dr. Forbes gave Miss Walker as far as her teaching style, what his suggestions were, and why she didn't take that. And lastly, does the district have a policy on a case like this with technology or threats towards a teacher? The problem was that Mrs. Walker received an email that had threats to it on her life and her job. She believes that a student in her classroom designed this web page, and she is fearful for her life and for her job. Dr. Forbes is going to review the case. He is going to get the district involved, the technology department involved, and try to get to the bottom of this as quickly and swiftly as possible. Category 2, the plan of action. First thing to do is to make sure that the district office is on review of this investigation, and that the superintendent is aware of what is going on and how we're going forth with this. Research the origin of the email, number 2. Find out where it came from, who designed it, and where was it designed at. Number 3, communicate with Miss Walker and document any type of findings we have from the students or what happened in her classroom to make sure that we have all the information and facts necessary. And number 4, what action plan are we going to follow if there is discipline need to be taken, and that we're going to communicate with the parents, with the district office, and the students throughout this investigation. Number one, plan of action is to interview all students, whether it's in Miss Walker's class, whether it is Randy Franks' friends, interview all of them and see what information we can gather to help conduct this investigation. Number two, go over the district policies code of conduct with technology, with threats, and review that with the superintendent and district office and possibly a police officer to make sure that we are covering all of our bases. And number three, contact the parents, contact the students, and let them know where the case is at, what are the possible consequences, and how we're going to resolve this issue. Strategic design for resolution. Number one, technology support. They're going to be the key to this investigation to make sure that we understand where everything came from, how it was designed. Number two is I'd like to have a faculty meeting to inform the entire faculty of the case, keeping things confidential, but give them an overall background of what's going on to make sure that this is not happening in any other classroom. Give Miss Walker a mentor. I think someone in the science department that teaches something close to her, whether it's a science department chair. I'd also like to have a couple other teachers throughout the building that maybe could help her assist in her classroom management and put her mind at ease that she is a good teacher. We're going to fully document this investigation to make sure that we, one, protect ourselves, but we can review that information if needed. Number five, the plan of action is so that this does not happen again. Design something so that we can review that with our new teachers, our mentor teachers, and our school and students that this is not how we're not going to deal with this situation. And lastly, follow-up interviews or follow-up conversations with the parents and students to make sure that this problem has been resolved, that we are moving forward, and that this will never happen again. Category 3, best action for the students. To be fair, to conduct a fair investigation, to review all the facts, give everybody an opportunity to speak about the action. Number 2 is to develop an advisory board where the principal meets with a group of students on a monthly basis, where the students can go over school topics, school problems, school positives, and that would give the principal or principals an insight of the students and what's going on in the classrooms. Develop a new teacher mentor program. All new teachers, whether it's a first-year teacher or a new teacher to the building, give them a year or two to have someone that they can rely on to understand the culture that they're walking into. And lastly, model and educate effective use of technology. I think that's something we can go over anytime we use technology, especially at the beginning of the year, but anytime there's a new project, review those moral and ethical values that we have when we use technology. Resolution. Obviously, we have to take this threat serious. Even though we might feel it's a prank, we need to investigate it as it was serious to protect everybody's involved. Number 2, we need to give Miss Walker the support she needs and deserves. Realize that she is a valuable asset to our school, and we're doing everything we can to help her and make sure that we resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Third is to promote a positive and safe learning environment. We want to let sure that this is not the way we handle things. There are other ways to resolve this issue, and there are positive things that we can do to help the student and the teacher. And lastly is follow-up meetings with students and teachers. Make sure that Ms. Walker understands the severity of this, other teachers understand it, and that we need to do everything possible to do what's best for the school and the students. What was I thinking, feeling, and valuing in category 4? First thing I thought was, as myself as a teacher, what would I do if I got an email like this? And how would I handle it? Would I be able to identify what kid might have sent it to me? Secondly, I wanted to know what I did to cause an email like this. Did I upset the kid? Did the kid have a bad day? Was I causing too much stress and anxiety? Did I not take the advice of others? Number 3, did the school do enough to help Miss Walker? Yes, they gave her suggestions, but was that just a suggestion, or did they really demand that of her and tell her this is what could happen if she did not follow up with changing her teaching styles? Number 4, I thought Dr. Forbes did a great job. He took the phone call on a Sunday night. He listened to her. He was going to make hard copies of it. He reassured her that he was going to do everything he can to take this threat seriously and protect her as well. And lastly, as a parent of 2 teenagers, my wife and I hope that we've raised our kids well enough to be able to handle a situation like this with a teacher or an adult, and that there are different ways to handle this case instead of just being to threaten someone or do something behind the computer. Unresolved issues. Will the teacher and students relationships be able to be fixed? Or will Miss Walker always be known as the teacher that is high anxiety class, stresses the kids out, too much workload, poor instruction, or will they be able to mend the fences as we move forward? Number 2, was the source of the email ever found? And what was on that email? Yes, there was a threat. Yes, they want to know who wanted Miss Walker to disappear. But what other information was on that email? And did they find the source of it? Was it just Randy Franks? Was it just a prank? Who else was involved in creating this webpage? Most times high school students are working together. Was it just one kid or was it several? And what was the discipline? Was it ISS? Was it OSS? How severe was the discipline by making this webpage? Category 5, Component 1, ethical behavior. First thing is to reinforce Miss Walker's safety. That we're taking this case very serious, and her safety is our number 1 concern. Contact the district office, number 2, getting their support, getting their help. They've probably been through a case like this, and we need their guidance with this case. I would also contact our SRO and our local police department just to cover all of our bases on that one. Number 3, keep everything confidential. This will not only protect the child, but it will also protect the student. The student and the teacher. We can give broad information, but keeping the core of it confidential is extremely important. And lastly, what effects my decision will have on the entire school. Did I discipline too much? Not enough? Was I thorough enough in my investigation? There's a big picture to look at this and to make sure that I do everything right to protect everybody involved. Treat others with fair and respect. Component 2. By doing this, number 1, I'm collecting all the information before I make any decision. I want to make sure all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. Reassure, number 2, that Mrs. Walker is a valued member of our community. She's a good teacher. She's learning, and we're going to make her the best teacher possible and continue to understand that she is a young teacher learning this business. And lastly, educate the parents, educate the students that this is a serious case, and we're going to do everything we can to resolve these issues and give them the skills necessary to be able to deal with a situation like this if it ever happens again in a positive and safe, respectful manner. Component 3, demonstrate a personal professional code of conduct. Number 1, we have to inform everybody. We need to inform the district office. We need to follow their guidelines, get their support. The superintendent must be in the know. All my administration staff should know. SRO police should know, so that everybody's involved and that we can get to the bottom of this case as quickly as possible. Number 2, even though we might think it's a prank, we might know the kid he might have done this in the past, or this is not something uncommon. We need to take this threat very, very seriously, document everything, and make sure that we understand that we're doing everything that we can to protect our community. And lastly, is follow district policy when it comes to discipline. There's something that needs to be said of following the code of conduct and how we handle that, so that we set a tone that if this does happen, here are the consequences. It is in black and white in paper, and this will protect not only the teacher, but also protect the principal.